In Lesson 13, we will be reading about determining point of view. So in this lesson, we're going to be working about identifying the author's purpose and point of view. First, you have to ask yourself, what is the author's purpose? The author's purpose is the author's main reason for writing. This could be to entertain, inform, or persuade. Now, what is the author's point of view? Well, the author's point of view is what the author thinks or believes. So listen as I read this next paragraph. Do you wish there were a healthy snack that tasted like a treat? Then try a Yippee bar. It's full of honey and dried fruit, but it's also covered in chocolate. Each Yippee bar only has 100 calories, but it tastes like 1,000. You can eat a Yippee bar and feel like you've had a real treat. Well, first I'd have to ask myself, what is the author's purpose in writing this paragraph? Well, obviously it's to persuade because they're trying to get the people to eat the Yippee bars. So what does the author believe about the Yippee bars? Well, they feel that they're a healthy snack. And I know that because it talks about the calorie intake, it being 100 instead of 1,000. Recognizing the author's purpose and point of view can help you as a reader understand the meaning of a text and evaluate its content. So let's look here where it says determining point of view. So it says an author's purpose is the main reason he or she creates a piece of writing. This reason may be to inform, persuade, entertain, or even to reflect. An author may write with a particular audience in mind, hoping to affect people's feelings on a subject. Analyzing the author's tone, language, and content choices can help readers infer what the author's purpose is. Those same clues can also reveal the author's point of view, which is what the author thinks, feels, or believes. So, it gives us an excerpt. Here it says, read the following excerpt from the essay Civil Disobedience by Henry David Thoreau, first published in 1849. What do you think Thoreau's purpose for writing this piece? So let's go ahead and let's read it. In the piece it says, is a democracy the last improvement possible in government? It is not possible to take a step further towards recognizing and organizing the rights of man. There will never be a really free and enlightened state until the state comes to recognize the individual as a higher and independent power from which all its own power and authority are derived and treats him accordingly. So let's look at the bold text. It says, read the excerpt again. This time underline phrases that contain the key points the author is making. Then read the chart below and see how the ideas Thoreau expressed can help you figure out the point of view about the importance of the individual. So let's read it again. It says, is a democracy the last improvement possible in government? Is it not possible to take a step further towards recognizing and organizing the rights of man? Well, that right there sounds like a key point. To take a step further towards recognizing and organizing the rights of man. So I could underline that. It goes on to say there will never be a really free and enlightened state until the state comes to recognize the individual as a higher and independent power. So I see two things here. There will never really be a free and enlightened state, and the state needs to recognize individuals as a higher and independent power. So these are two key points that I see the authors trying to make. So let's go ahead and let's look at the chart at the bottom. So the chart says that the topic is the nature of government. So we have three pieces of textual evidence. The first one says, take a step further toward recognizing and organizing the rights of man. The idea expressed is our form of democracy can still be improved. The next piece of the text evidence says, never be a really free and enlightened state, which means that true freedom is impossible under an oppressive government. Finally, the text says, recognize the individual as a higher and independent power, which means people should be considered greater than the government. So from this, we can pull the author's point of view, which is the individual is more important than the government, and our government must change to reflect that. So let's look at the bottom. It says, Thoreau's point of view seemed to be that of an individual is more important than the government. His purpose or reason for writing is to persuade people that our form of government could still be improved. Determining the author's purpose and point of view will help you understand what feelings or ideas the author wants you to take away from a text. So let's go ahead and let's flip to the next page. Okay, so it says, the first female president. So let's go ahead and read. History remembers Edith Wilson as far more than just the First Lady. In fact, she's been hailed as the first female president of the United States. Though most of her contributions to the presidency took place behind the scenes, they are a testament to this remarkable woman's strength and intelligence. They demonstrate that her unofficial tie is well deserved. As wife to President Woodrow Wilson, Edith bravely assumed nearly all of the president's routine daily activities when her husband suffered a debilitating stroke in October 1919. Rather than allow him to step down, she continued his presidency by acting in his place. She became the sole point of communication between Woodrow and his cabinet. In fact, the American people believed their president only suffered from temporary exhaustion. Edith decided which issues to bring to her ailing husband's attention and which ones she could deal with herself. Edith Wilson met these extraordinary challenges head on and proved herself an admirable leader. So it says, explore how to answer this question. What text evidence helps you infer the author's point of view about Edith Wilson? To infer the author's point of view, look for and underline any evidence in the text that suggests what he thinks of Edith Wilson and how she took control of her husband's stroke. So let's go ahead and let's look primarily at this second paragraph. So I know that this editorial is about Edith Wilson's wife, which is the wife of, Edith Wilson, which is the wife of President Woodrow Wilson. And I know that an editorial expresses an author's opinion. Now, the text doesn't state the author's opinion directly, so of course I would have to go through and reread and underline words and phrases that signal the author's attitude towards Edith Wilson. Well, in the first paragraph, the author says her contributions to the presidency are, quote, a testament to the remarkable woman's strength and intelligence. Well, this is positive language, and this positive language suggests that the author thinks that Edith was an amazing person. So I can continue reading in paragraph 2 and look for other descriptive words and phrases that signal what the author thinks about Edith Wilson. So in this very first part, it says that she bravely assumed nearly all of the president's routine daily activities when her husband suffered a debilitating stroke. So this word bravely is also a positive word. So we're seeing this connotation that the author probably feels positively about Edith Wilson. Towards the end of paragraph 2, I can see where it says that she met extraordinary challenges head on and proved herself an admirable leader. So this right here is also more positive language, extraordinary and admirable, which is showing that the author obviously feels positively towards Edith Wilson. So after reviewing these expressed ideas, I can figure out what the author's point of view is. And so in order to do that, I'm going to be looking at this chart down here. So, the topic is obviously Edith Wilson, and so we have a bit of textual evidence. The first one it gives me, which is a testament to this remarkable woman's strength and intelligence. Her unofficial title is well deserved. So the idea expressed is that Edith was conducting herself as honorable and as a good president, pretty much. So we can go on to our next piece of text evidence, which I had already said was that she bravely assumed nearly all the president's routine daily activities when her husband suffered a debilitating stroke. So the idea expressed in this is that Edith helped both her husband and her country. Not only was she helping her husband during this time that he had had this stroke and his body was not functioning the way it should, but she was helping the country by making these brave daily activities and making these decisions for him. So let's go to our last one. The one that we had said was that she met these extraordinary challenges head on and proved herself an admirable leader. Well, obviously the idea expressed here is that she was a good leader, regardless of whether it was a difficult time. So let's try to put this all together to make a point of view. Well, obviously the author's point of view is that she was a remarkable woman and a remarkable leader. So let's go ahead and let's move on to the next page and continue with our reading. So it says White House deception. History may remember Edith Wilson as the United States' first female president, but what it fails to mention is the elaborate deception she orchestrated. When her husband, President Wilson, suffered a serious stroke, Edith swooped in to, quote-unquote, help. She purposely misled Congress about the seriousness of his condition. Then she used the opportunity to exercise head of state powers such as signing official orders and writing decrees in her own hand. History must not look favorably upon this hijacking of the government. To speak with the president's voice is, at best, dishonest. Okay, so looking at this, we would probably want to first go through and underline which words state the author's feelings or beliefs. So here I can say that, it says that she said elaborate deception she orchestrated. Well, this definitely shows some sort of negative connotation. That word deception is very negative. We can already see that the author is not really liking Edith Wilson. It goes in and says, swooped in to quote unquote help. While help may be a positive word, by putting quotations around it, it means that it's being used ironically. So this word is actually now negative. It goes on and says that she purposely misled Congress. So this right here, misled and purposely, are very negative. And then, she goes on to say that, or sorry, he goes on to say that we should not look favorably upon this hijacking. These are all very negative words. And then finally says that she was dishonest. So there's a lot of feelings and thoughts that this author has towards Edith Wilson, most of which are negative. So here it says, which sentence best expresses the author's point of view? So A says, Edith Wilson did the right thing in exercising her husband's presidential powers. Well, we can obviously tell that they think that she didn't do the right thing, because it's saying that she hijacked his job. B, Edith Wilson is rightly remembered as the first female president of the United States. Well, obviously, this author is arguing the opposite, so no, B is not the correct answer. C, Edith Wilson deserves to be praised for serving her country. Well, if he's being called dishonest, then no, C would not be the correct answer. And D, Edith Wilson should not be honored by history for her deception. Well, we're already seeing that deception was a word to describe her, so yes, D would be the correct answer for this article. Okay, so for the following part, you are going to be reading this piece by yourself. You are going to be answering questions 1 through 3 by yourself, and you will be completing the cold read all by yourself. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I will be collecting this work tomorrow.